That internet looks slow today. Good morning, good morning. Wow, guys, guess what today is? Today is day 21 of our 20 experience. And so it's with a bittersweet sense of feeling inside that I am here to give you the last piece of the 21-day process. And it is all about contribution. Okay, so let's just wait for a few more people to join. I know I've had some apologies because life is happening, right? Life is happening out there for us right now, and yeah, we are living. We are living and experiencing life at whatever level that we choose. And I know for you guys, over the last 21 days, it has been a choice of discovering that way you can live with that sense of peace and happiness inside of yourself. And it is something that you will continue to experience and practice as you move past today into tomorrow and into November and December and 2022. So let's just say, well, if you're here with us, please come and say good morning. Yes, somebody else has arrived. Who are you? And Amanda, good morning. Lovely to have you here on this final day talking about contribution. And yeah, so for the rest of you that are still joining, let's just touch on this word. Now, the funny thing with contribution is it's not actually something we have to do. We often think about contribution as doing something for somebody else to make them feel good, or perhaps even doing something for ourselves, giving back to ourselves so that we can feel better. And that generates such a warm, happy feeling inside. I'm sure every single one of you listening in here this morning will have an example of that in their life, where you've just gone out of your way without much thought to just help somebody else, or in certain instances with a lot of thought. And the giving of that help or that support or that kindness has in return paid you back with a wonderful, warm, happy feeling inside. The other thing that is really very interesting when it comes to this kind of behavior or thought or work is that we can experience a very similar feeling inside if we observe somebody else doing something lovely for another person. So we don't even have to do anything, just observe, and we can experience that feeling inside. And that's quite powerful because that does link to our thinking again and what it is that we know makes us feel happy. Often it's putting yourself in the other person's shoes. If that experience was mine, it would be a lifesaver, or it would make a difference in my life. And conversely, you then go out to, what is the wording? Give to others as you would like to have given back to you, without the expectation of a response. And often in the world of paying it forward, we talk about going out and doing a random act of kindness, and you help an individual. Like I think we mentioned a few days ago, you pay for somebody's coffee in the queue, somebody behind you you've never met. You give them, you pay for their coffee, and then when they come to pay for their coffee, it's like already taken care of and like you've disappeared. But somebody goes, wow, somebody paid for my coffee. What a wonderful feeling. And then perhaps he doesn't or she doesn't come and pay for your coffee, but what they do is at some point they think, oh, I can do that as well. That's easy to do. And then they're in a queue and they pay for the person's coffee behind them. And you have this flow of acts of kindness that almost come back to you in some way or form, but never necessarily from the point where you began it or from the person you gave it out to, but that it somewhere in a moment you realize, oh, someone has just done something really special for me. And that's the power of contribution. We're giving, but we're not expecting anything back, because actually our payment often is in that feeling we get when we reach out to another. So this morning, what we're looking at, I hope this connection is good enough for you guys today. I hope we're not having any starts or whatever. Morning, Paula. Lovely to have you here again on this last day together. Um, so what I've got here is I've written out a few things that I want you to think about. I will type it in. I will be sending you an email today, a final email to give you some hints and tips about today's topic, but also about what you can actually do going forward to reinforce this experience that you've had. But what I'd like you to do today, and if you want to write this down, what act of kindness have you observed? If you think back to yesterday or last week or last year or a moment in time, where have you kind of got locked in your mind where you've observed an act of kindness? Okay. Um, and then what act of kindness has been done to you? So think back and recollect a moment where somebody has reached out and done something that you have really felt so grateful for. You know, someone's been kind to you in some way or form. Make a note down of that. And listen, if there's multiple, write them down. It's wonderful to begin to see where the abundance of giving and receiving is in your life. So the third thing, I should be wearing my glasses because my type is very, very small. Oh, here they are. Okay, so what acts of kindness have you done before? So yeah, where have you actually gone out and done a random act of kindness? I bet you've got so many to write down there. But you know, we forget about them so quickly. So have a think about that. And then what acts of kindness could you or would you like to do? So think about that. I've got a great story that I'll share with you that I was part of a couple of years ago, and it was one of the most fulfilling, happy experiences of my life. But I'll tell you about that shortly. And then the last thing is, what act of kindness would you do today? So that's about taking that the last question I asked, what random acts of kindness or acts of kindness would you like to do? And then pick one out of there. What can you do today? Tiny, tiny, tiny acts of kindness can be all that you need. You don't have to go out and be lavish. It doesn't have to be dramatic and you know, noteworthy. It just has to be small and meaningful. Even a smile. You know, that is an act of kindness. When you think about it, if you walk around just smiling, you emit that happy feeling and that happy expression on anyone who is observing you. And it's also taking you out of where you are in your mind, or it's making you think about things that bring happiness to the forefront of what you're at, even if you're trying to solve a problem. Okay, you know, that smile is going to bring you an easier result than if you are cloudy and heavy, you know. So my story, well, I've always kind of really loved helping out, helping others. You know, when I was growing up, we had some really tough times. My dad lost his business, then we lost all our furniture in a van removal accident, and we went through a period of time where acts of kindness from other people, whether it was family or friends, really got us through a very, very, very tricky time. And I think in some way or form that really stuck in my mind as, you know, people are really very nice. And wow. I mean, I never in that young age, because I was young, I was like about 11 years old. I never was mature enough to think about what would have happened if those people hadn't come to our rescue, hadn't come to help us out with the odd clothing or furniture or bedding or a roof over our head in those tricky moments. And but the kindness stayed with me. And I think that has gone a long way over my life to sort of always make sure that in some way or form there is that giving forward or giving giving to somebody else. So I've tried lots of things. I've done the coffee thing in the queue, and I'm telling you, it's incredible because you actually do get to observe the brightness on that person's face when they realize somebody's actually done something nice for them, you know. So anyway, fast forward to 2015, and it was coming up to Christmas time. I think it was around August, September, August, and Monday Motivation, the group that I was running, we were thinking about what we could do this Christmas to make a difference in people's lives because we had done raising makeup and everything for women in shelters, and we've done a lot of different things. And one of the people that really inspired me when I started my coaching was Tony Robbins. I mean, I qualified as a coach, and then I followed him quite a long time in his books, his programs, his live events, and I learned so much about the fundamentals of psychology and human nature. And one of the things I got when I started with him was a small book called Notes from a Friend or Gift from a Friend. I forget what it is now. And in there was the story of his start and how some random stranger on Thanksgiving had delivered a parcel of food to his door for his family. And his father had actually rejected it. And he had thought, wow, you know, that is somebody who's been very kind. And wow, they don't even know us and they're giving us all this food. Anyway, so Tony went on to start a program called the Basket Brigade. And now he feeds in America, he feeds hundreds of thousands of people. And it's funded often through the programs that he runs. Or so this is how it has led to us. But on a small scale, I said to the ladies in Monday Motivation, I said to them, I would love to do something where we can feed families in the Northeast. And what we did was we held a winter fair at the Hopeful Center in Inverurie. And so everybody who belonged to Monday Motivation, who had a business, a small business that were just starting up, took a table and we ran a winter fair, Christmas fair, whatever you want to call it, where people could come and shop and buy presents for their friends and family for Christmas time. We had a raffle, and we got donations from that for that raffle from everybody in the Inverurie community on the high street everywhere. And we raised £500 that day over and above our costs. And we took that money. I then wrote to a number of butchers in the area, from Aberdeen right down to Meldrum, Kintore, Inverurie, anywhere that I could find a butcher who was somebody who had access to turkeys. And I wrote them a letter and I said, this is what we want to do. We want to feed some families in the Northeast. And would you be kind enough to donate us a turkey, one turkey? So yes, I wrote to 6 butchers because we had come up with the idea that we could feed 6 families. And so, long story short, I also did a talk at the Kintore Rotary Group because I thought, you know, let's spread the word because we wanted to find families. And what we did, at the end of my talk, I stood up and I said, and tell me something, do you know anybody who has access to Brussels sprouts? Because that's a vegetable we often have on a table at Christmas time, but not everybody likes Brussels sprouts. And this man just stood up from the back of the room and he said to me, what do you need? And I said, oh, pardon. He said, what do you need? So I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you don't just want Brussels sprouts, right? He says, you might want parsnips, potatoes, carrots, broccoli. What do you need? So I said, wow. I said, some of all of that would be amazing. And he said, for how many? So I said, well, the truth is, we asked for 6 turkeys and we have been told that these people want to give us more. So we have 19 turkeys that we are going to have to dress up because we can feed 19 families. I mean, can you imagine that feeling inside where suddenly you were going to feed 6 families and now you can feed 19, and we were going to be able to feed 19 families with 10 meals. So whether that's one person having 10 turkey meals or a family of 10 having an amazing Christmas dinner was epic. So he kindly met me in a Tesco car park on the 21st of December, or was it the 22nd? And he opened up his boot and he just in a trolley threw in carrots, Brussels sprouts, parsnips, potatoes, and everything that we needed, plus bags that we could package everything up in. So that was the veg taken care of. With the £500 we raised at the fair, we went into the shops and we bought things that go around your turkey dinner, like gravy, like chocolates, things for the kids, all the things that you could imagine that you put on your table at Christmas time. And then with the ladies, we all went up to the community room and we packed everything up. We had bags. We had also spoken to two charities, Befriend a Child and Home Start, who had then identified the families that we were going to feed. We also got a school up in Peterhead who identified some families who could benefit from it. And then we had a few random one-offs where people had been identified as really struggling. And we embarked on a journey to walk these meals to the doors of these families over the 22nd and 23rd of December 2015. And yeah, it was just beautiful. These people were amazed, they were grateful, they were surprised, very humble, and we were humble. And there was a lot of hugging that went on and thanks. We even had a grandfather come running out afterwards and he said, I think you've made the most terrible mistake. And we said, what do you mean? He said, there's so much food here. You can't possibly have meant to give us all this food. And we said, no, it is all for you. And we'd also included some money for electric because, you know, it takes a bit of electricity to cook a turkey. And we left with just such a warm feeling. Now, the interesting thing about that project that we did was there were so many people that came together to be part of that one act of kindness to each of those 19 families. It wasn't just the people who made the fair be a success to raise that money. It was the people who contributed those raffle prizes so we could sell raffle tickets. It was the man in the Kintor Rotary who stood up and said, what do you need? And he met me in the car park and he contributed in that way. It was the man who drove his car from one destination to the other so we could deliver our goods. It was the charities who stepped forward and said, yes, we know some families. It was the families who opened the doors and received the gift with kindness. And it was the most incredible Christmas. Now, I tell you this story because it was special for me, because it was part of, how can I explain to you? It was a part of me being part of a team of people who got excited to make a difference in that moment. And I know from that point onwards, Monday Motivation came to an end and a lot of the food banks started opening up and a need arose for more help for more families. And I knew at that stage that a bigger engine had stepped in, but we had done this thing. And I know everybody who took part, they're never the same again because of the experience of being integral, filling a part. Somebody shopped, somebody packed, somebody gathered, somebody made phone calls. You know, everybody played a part. And this is the magic of life. We can all play a small part of the big picture and we can make a difference. And you know what? It can start with a smile. So that's a long story, and I bet you we're over time this morning. We're just over time. But really, what stories do you have? I mean, we were a group, we came together, we had done so much personal development, and we loved to put what we had learned into practice as a group. So that is a big fancy story, right? But you must have those tiny little stories in your life where you've done those little things or the bigger things. Write them down and remind yourself of the power of that sense of fulfillment, joy, and happiness that you get, but that you also give out. And that is in its essence the final piece in the puzzle of happiness in our life. And remember that happiness is not a destination. It's not over there. It's not. It's right here. It's inside of you. And it is possible to reawaken that feeling inside if you continue to just pull out and apply these things we've spoken about over the last 21 days. Keep your journal going. Remain grateful and write your gratitude out every day. Be aware of your conversations and your environment. And you know what? Come back to this page and watch a video, watch a particular topic. You don't have to do it all again all the time, but you might want to just remind yourself of something you heard that resonated with you in one of the sessions. You've got your notes. I am so delighted that you committed to this. I was actually doing the calculation this morning, and we've spent about just over 5 hours together over the last 21 days. So the 15-minute increments that I calculated equals just over 5 hours together. You have put such a commitment into yourself. You could have been doing other things, at this time of the morning, maybe sleeping in a bit more, or maybe rushing off to do chores or, things for those people that you love. But what you decided to do was commit something to yourself. And for that, I think, I just want to say good for you. Because if you grow you can only but let that eventually overflow, and others around you will benefit. But first, it's about our cup being full. Look after us. Be strong inside. Be happy. Be joyful. Or always be able to find that moment of happiness in every action. Or even most of them at least. And then let that just flow out wherever you go. And I know it seems dreamy and fluffy and everything, but I tell you what, when you're happy, when you truly are happy inside, and you've worked that muscle and you've noticed and explored and discovered that happy feeling, then I'm telling you now, anything in life that comes your way, you can overcome, you can deal with, and you can face. Even the big challenges. And remember, you don't always have to do it on your own. You are not alone in this world. You have your memories, you have your thoughts, you have your good stuff, you have your friends, you have your contacts, and now you also have me, not far away from you, just a message away, maybe even a cup of coffee away at some point. But just thank you so much for committing to yourself. And, if we could all do a little bit of this, imagine the ripple and wave of happy that we could create in our environment, in our immediate world. So, how do you feel? How are you feeling? Tell me what's going on in your mind right now. And good morning, Brian. Morning, Karen. I remember it well. Oh, yes, Brian, you were there, of course. Was it Victor Nickel? Wonderful. I mean, I still remember that moment when he stood up at the back of the room, because it was the last thing I was actually expecting in that moment. And it was like, I don't know. I still walk around and I am overwhelmed by that experience. So a good feeling. I feel so happy now. Emotional, in fact. So I'm not going to cry, but it was a special, special time. Oh, this is not supposed to happen live on video, but I just want to say it has been a pleasure. Composure. It has been a pleasure. And I wish you well. And I would love to know from you guys, when you've got a moment, what you want to do with this experience, and what it has done for you. I've already received some messages, so thanks for that. Claire wasn't able to be with us this morning, and so she sent me a note overnight, and that's amazing. So I'll be sharing some of these quotes anonymously, unless you say to me, Tess, you can put my name to it. But just continue forward and continue applying these very simple practices to your life, and you will transform. I promise you. I've been there, I've done it. I think some of you have done this as well before. You know it works. It's just focusing on what it is that you would like to experience in your life. And if you put your focus there, then what's going on inside of you is for you. And what's happening out there where you can't control things is happening out there. But you can be more effective to the world outside if you are stable, certain, and strong on the inside. And that's really the magic of that happy feeling, because you're solid. So I wish solidness for you. And I've got some surprises, but they'll be in the email that'll go out to you all after this call sometime today. So look out for it. And yeah, thanks so much for being here. Brian, keep doing what you're doing, Tess. Thanks, Brian. I'm loving it, and I'm really appreciative that you guys have all come and hung out with me. Paula, feeling good, but have to leave for breakfast meeting. Okay, Paula, off you go. Um, can't wait to chat to you as well. Off to play golf with a friend. Take care. Brian, have a fantastic golf game today. I know it's a bit chilly out there, but I'm sure you'll be wrapped up warm, and the good walk and fresh air will just be wonderful. So enjoy it and stay happy, guys. And yeah, chat to you very soon. Have an amazing, amazing day. Bye for now.